So let's get this started. So everybody can now see my screen. You see I have PointCab already opened. As a table of contents, first I'd like to talk about the shortcuts and later on about the different visuals and things to change in PointCab and how this can make your life a little bit easier. Regarding the shortcuts, just to inform you about that, we are currently working on a shortcut manager in PointCab, so you can change the shortcuts yourself and set them to values you need or you want to have instead of the current preset values. And this is going to be in version 4.0. And yeah, let's look forward for this version because there will be major new things. Okay, let's start with the shortcut list. You can check out the shortcuts in the PDF directly yourself. So we have written down most of the shortcuts here. There are some which are not yet in the PDF list, but I mean, when the shortcut manager is in there, I think we don't need the PDF anymore. But no, we have it currently, right? So you see here the F shortcuts for importing scan projects, opening scan projects, tab view, sub window view, and these are just convenience things. So for example, if I have it opened and I'd like to create a new project, I can just press F1 instead of pressing on new. And the same with open, I can just press F2 and open a project instead of going to open. So if you are jumping through projects, using F2 is a lot more convenient than just trying to click always onto open. F3 and F4 just to change tab view or tiled view, the same as the button here. And yeah, close PointCab, Control F4, the same as in to close any other application. Select all. So if you have created a lot of different things you'd like to delete or to do something with it, you can just press Control and A to select everything. For example, if you have set some 3D points and you'd like to delete them all, just press Control A and then you can press delete to delete them all. Control H, hide objects, can be unhidden on I button. Meaning if I have here, if I click just one of these sections and I don't want to see it in here, I can press Control H for hide. And now you see I've have hidden everything of these, so they are gone. And can be unhidden on the I button means here I can now disable the layouts and sections and just unhide it everything again. So if there are certain things or elements you don't want to see, you can just use here these tools, and together with Control H, everything is very, very nice to use. Yeah, save your project with Control S. Normally the project should be saved around when you start processing a new job automatically. So I don't use this button a lot of times, normally only during the registration when I've clicked a lot of features and just to make sure that they are not lost. But normally this is not important. Control Z for the vectorizer. If you have created some vector lines, you can use Control Z to undo this. It's only working with a vectorizer. For example, if you delete something, you can't use Control Z to bring it back currently. So if I create a section here, I delete it, it's not possible to bring it back with Control Z. Yeah, F5 settings editor, F6 advanced importer. These are again all the buttons here at the top, so you can quickly open these to view these or to hide these if you have your finger on the keyboard. As well as F8, F9 to hide the job editor on the job list. So if you, or this was the button for the 3D viewer, F7, F8, sorry. So if you need more space to see things here, you can use these. As most applications, PointCab has a full screen mode with F11 and F12 to, for example, take a screenshot of that area, and F11 again to stop the mode. So it's very convenient to use. And I mean, if you open the shortcuts, you can just see everything here yourself. The escape button cancels an operation. So for example, if I currently am creating something, I can press escape. Delete, yeah, removes objects, makes sense. Of course, you can use the context menu with the right mouse button. Control, drag mode for layout. Generally, you can move everything around. So it's just for the views to move them. You can as well use the mouse wheel if you press that. And shift, fix next point to X or Y coordinate means if I create something, for example, a layout, then this will generate it in 45-degree steps. The same for every other tool. So for example, if I want to create directly 45-degree steps with a distance tool or anything else, I can just press and let it press shift, and then these steps are fixed. A, activate, deactivate anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing is a blurring effect, which normally does that the point cloud is looking a little bit better. Perhaps we look at that in this view here. So you see here that it is a little bit blurry, and if I now press A, the anti-aliasing effect is disabled, and now you can see the pixels very clearly. So in this view now you would, for example, see I've created this layout with 5 millimeters. So while seeing the pixels, you can see that now the image resolution is indeed 5 millimeters, so the pixel size is 5 millimeters. And with pressing A again, of course, the anti-aliasing effect is back on. B, hide show tile bounds. As everybody should know in PointCab, that if you create a DWG file or generally an orthophoto, we are writing a lot of image files. And we call them tiles. We are doing this because if we would write just one big image, you can't have a bigger size than 2 gigabytes of data, because afterwards or Windows doesn't allow bigger images except for special image formats, but we are only writing PNG, JPEG, and so on. So we are writing a lot of small tiles, small images, and these images are then loaded a lot quicker because the computer can load a lot of small images a lot faster than one big image. If you don't like to have a lot of tiles like this one, you can use the merge tool to just join these into one single image. And then you have just one PNG or JPEG, whatever you have chosen for the image file format. E opens down a left view. So if you like to jump through a certain view automatically, if you have opened a lot of tabs, then you can use E, for example, to, hey, my E button is not working. Interesting. Nice. I guess we have to get that fixed. G for grid. Here you can see a background grid. The size and the angle is depending on your settings. So you see here grid step size is 10 meters and the grid angle is 0 degrees. If I change that to 30 degrees, you see the grid in the background changes. The CTO always wants to remove the grid from complete PointCab, and somebody always mentions that they are using it, so it's still in there. The button H fits scene into window. If you are moving very far outside or you have unregistered scans, this button H is very helpful because then it will jump into, or it will show the complete project in the window. And if you have unregistered projects and you press H, you won't see nothing anymore because the scans are so far apart from each other, then there's only one scan somewhere. Open Advanced Importer. It's the same as F6. L, hide show layouts. So here you saw already that here it's mentioned here with L layout section. I can hide them here, or I can just press L. Open registration editor. All right, P show hide all scan positions. This is the same with here this. Hide show tiles. T meaning you hide the images in the background. And this was that so far. You see here the tools 1, 2, 3 is not used currently, but for example, I can press 2 to get the generation of sections or layouts, and 1 to get the mouse tool. Now comes a very interesting part, the mouse. The mouse is very useful in PointCab because you can point at everything, and this is indeed a very important part to speed up your workflow. You have to understand how the mouse is working in PointCab. So if I choose here any tool, for example, let's use the distance tool. You have every tool which is created in a different way. You have the layout and section, which creates a bounding box. You have the vectorizer, which creates lines, or you have the point cloud export, which creates a polygon or single lines as a distance. But when you have created your tool, then it's automatically active. So if it would be created in the job list, it will be active here as well. And you see it is active in the job editor, meaning the tool itself is active. If you now press onto the right mouse button, then the active tool is disabled. So now you're not in the active tool anymore, but you're automatically back to creating the tool. So now I can create the next distance. Right mouse click, create the next distance. Right mouse click, create the next distance. And this is the same for each tool. I can create a section, click on the right mouse button, create the next section, create the right mouse button, and so on. And if you know this, you are a lot faster when creating things, and you know how everything in the background works. One more thing, if you create something, you press the right mouse button. So now you're back in the active mode. You can press the right mouse button a second time, and then automatically the tool is disabled and you're back onto the mouse tool. So for example, I create a distance, right mouse button once, I create another distance, finish it, right mouse button once, right mouse button the second time, and I'm back in the selection tool. Of course, if I create something, I can just press the one on the keyboard and I'm back into the selection tool as well. But pressing the right mouse button twice is very useful as well, because you can very fast disable the tool which you're currently using. It's very helpful if you are, for example, currently setting spheres or something and you don't want to set the next sphere, but this go back to the selection tool, then you can just press twice. All right, middle mouse button, as I already said, you can drag and drop around your stuff. And with the left mouse button, of course, you can click on the elements, select them, and do things with them. And of course, with the left mouse button press, you can open a view mode to, or an area to select multiple things to, for example, delete them. Right mouse click onto certain elements will activate the context menu. Depending on where you click, you have a different context menu, of course. And last but not least, we have here in the 3D viewer. You can set the camera to the front. You can reset it to this diagonal look from above, or you can set it to the top view. One thing to mention, perhaps, if you are working on a laptop and the laptop has two different graphics cards, then you should activate the strong graphics cards for PointCab if you want to use the 3D viewer. If you're using GeForce, let's go into the properties here, just that you saw that once, 3D properties, program properties, and then you can here use the tool and here choose the graphics cards. So normally it would want to use my integrated one, which is not strong, but I want to use the NVIDIA one. So now when we are here, and for example, we have we visualize the point cloud, then what we want to do here now is we want to press the left mouse button to change the view, and we want to use the keyboard keys WASD like a gamer, so we can move around like in an ego perspective to come to a location where we want to see something. Never forget to press the left mouse button first, because if we are in the selection, the LOD model will automatically be scaled down, so your graphics card is able to visualize all the points we have in this project. Regarding the options for the different tools, which is not in here is which we didn't show in here, is the option for setting checkerboard targets and spheres. So you have the same, you see the keys here as well. So for example, the modules have here the numbers on the right side as well, so you can check them out, which are there. For example, distance Alt +1. You see the distance tool is active. And for the registration, we have here Control Alt 5. You can use as well the Alt on the right side of your keyboard. So the one next to your space on the right side. So Control Alt 5 and the sphere is active, or the one on the right side, 6 or 5, to get the tools here working. So next thing, what will be in the next release as well, which is already in there for the vectorization, is snapping to lines. Now, in this view, the snapping itself is not active. What you have to do here is press and hold Alt. If you press and hold Alt, you will see that here is this cross, and with that, it will snap to the line itself, and then I'm able to create this layout very fast. I can scroll in a little bit to be able to see how well this all is moving together. And if I've drawn my lines, I can just connect them with this tool to get them, for example, to make both lines longer, and then they will meet at the corner. Of course, this will only work very well for sharp edges. If you are here in not sharp edges, where is a lot of points, black or gray, then it won't work that well. As you can see here we have a little bit of noise and it jumps around a little bit. So you have to make sure that you do your slice at above the windows, so you don't have these noisy areas in there. And as I already said, we have included that for the vectorizer, but in the next version, this will be available for the distance tool, for the 3D point tool, and for a bunch of other tools as well. All right, then let's talk about visual things. Let's start with the logo. If you want to have your logo in different exports, the most easiest and convenient way is to go into the settings, F5, go into General, the Logo tab, and then we can just browse to our logo. Let's take the one from Laser Scanning Europe in this case. And now if I like to, I can create a web export here in this area. And then you see that at logo, automatically my logo where it's saved is chosen and set in here. So make sure that the logo where your logo is saved, the path is always valid and the logo is there. Otherwise, we can't include it. Then of course we can here include a link. Let's use the one from Laser Scanning Europe as well. And perhaps we just export to scan locations, then it's a little bit faster. So let's do that. I'm currently writing an HTML and a PDF, and in the HTML file, the link will be behind the logo. So if somebody is clicking onto the logo, then we will see, or the website too will open. So let's open here the PDF. You see here now there's the logo, and here you can see directly that the link is in there. So if I click onto the logo, I will be on the website here directly. And same for the PDF. Now you see here that the logo is in there. So you can give that to your customer with your logo in there. And the same for example, the delta, the logo will be in there automatically. Or for the space warp functions, that the logo is in there then as well. If you want to remove it again from your project settings, just go into the settings again, click on browse, and click then on cancel, and then it will be gone. Next is units. You can change here the units which you see. I have standard, or the standard is meter, but of course you can change the units which you see in PointCab, for example to centimeters. But it's only how you see the units in here. So it's the intern usage. For example, if you want to change the units for everything else, you have to do that in every tab. For example, here I can change the units for the section, and it's the same in the settings. So here I have the units for layout sections. In Delta, I have the processing resolution for the images. The vectorizer has its own export unit, so you have to click through all tabs one time and set the unit everywhere, just to be sure that you have it in your export as well as in PointCab. Another thing which perhaps is interesting is the scan colorization. You can set the scan colorization to clusters. I mean, you all know that you can create different clusters in the advanced importer and just move your scans into them. Or you can have the scan colorization via height. So I can change that to height. And now you see that the height is depending on the scan color is depending on the height. Let's talk about cat background. So I've created here a bunch of sections already. If you create a normal section, it looks like that. You know the point density and so on. So depending on what you have in the background, of course, you will see the edges stronger if there are more points in the background. Now I've created the same section with complete reflectivity. Reflectivity is just the intensity, how the scanner got back the beam it sent out. And then you can see the checkerboard targets very clearly. And here you can't see them at all because the point density is on a checkerboard target everywhere identical. So here in the reflectivity image, you can see them. If you change the cat background to black and do the reflectivity, in my opinion, the reflectivity will come out a lot better. So here you can see the checkerboard targets even better. So in my opinion, it's a lot better to use the background color cat black if you want to see or have to find checkerboard targets. And of course, you can, if you scan with color, you can set the color. The option is directly under processing. So for reflectivity or color, you can set a certain percentage or just go directly to 100%. And here you can see you should never scan when everything is completely overlighted and you have shadows everywhere. But I guess you all are profis, so this won't happen to you. This option scan index here will make that you see the points depending on from which scan they are coming. I mean, in the section, we can't see that very clearly, but if I, for example, show you the same from the top view, then you see that here, for example, the scan here has all these red points bringing into our view, and the scan here is bringing all our green points in there. And this is the normal points where the scan itself in the center is not able to see them because it's the floor points directly under the scanner. There is no, you can't know which scanner will have which color. It's just an easy overview to perhaps see which scanner is bleeding out or which scanner might be wrong in the registration or something. Okay, next things next. If you open a panorama in PointCab, then what you see automatically is the reflectivity view, and it's normally shown in planar mode. If you want to see it in another mode, you can just change, or automatically every time you can do that in the settings, in the panorama tab, planar view. If you disable that, you will get a bubble view automatically. If you check this here, you will get the colorized panorama every time. And the load point cloud will make that it loads the point cloud in the background of the panorama. So you can see it here. If there are points, you see that there are points visible. If you disable it, the panorama will open a little bit faster, but the XYZD will always be set to these lines. If you don't like to see all the scan locations here in the panorama view, then you have to disable them. One thing is to press P, and then they are of course gone, and you can bring them back by pressing P, the same as in every other view with P. But if they are only disturbing to you and you don't use them to go to the next panorama, for example, by using the panorama tool, then I would recommend to disable them completely. You can do this by, let me close these panoramas, settings, and all you need to do is visualize scans in distance, and then here press 0 meters, press OK. And now if I open the same panorama again, you see there are no scan locations anymore, and the scan positions itself won't bring them in. Perhaps you just saw it. If I use the mouse wheel while my mouse is in there, I can just go through the tabs by scrolling through the mouse wheel, which is nice to use. Same for same for editing elements. Just thought about that. If you press in here and you start typing your stuff, and the mouse leaves this field, it will automatically set it. So don't try or don't press here and then move your mouse somewhere else, because then you can't go on typing. Let the mouse still be in the field, type your stuff, and as well when it leaves it, it will automatically change the value, so you don't need to worry to press enter or something. Just move the mouse out of it. Last but not least, 3D points. I know you all are using 3D points, but did you know that for 3D points, you have an option called Multiview? You can set it for one single point, or you can set it for all points in the properties, of course. Sketch Panorama, Multiview, 3D points. And then you're able, let's hide these because we don't need them, scan positions, and then you can see them in all views. And when Multiview is on, you're able to drag these points around. Only then. If it's disabled, you are not able to drag that. You see my mouse is not changing into the arrows. Only when Multiview is on, I'm able to drag these around. Now, my point is somewhere, and I have no idea if it's on the point cloud or not. So what I can do now is I can press on update elevation, and then the point will be set onto my elevation model. So the highest points in the point cloud in this case, which is available. So I can press it for all which are in the same view. So for example, for all points which I've created in the top view or in the side view or in the front view, or I can just press on selected, then it's the one I've selected currently. And then you see the point is automatically back onto my height, my elevation model. If I move it over there, it should go directly down to the floor. So I can do that. And then you see it's on the floor. Another nice thing is if it's a plus, it means the point is directly on the point cloud. If you don't have a plus, but here square, this means the point is nowhere. So the height itself should be on the height of where you have created it. So so in this case, it's in the standard top view, and then it's in the same height as the red dashed line, depending, of course, of your created orthophoto. And if the point is in the neighborhood of something, and it gets a height, then there will be a circle in it, not a plus and not a square, but a circle. That means the neighboring points were used to calculate the value of the height. And that's that. Are there any questions? All right. Since there are no other questions, I will finish the webinar, and thanks for attending. I hope I see you in one of the next ones again.